The final Hawk Talk show of the semester, of the year, our final one until September. Cannot believe it's here already, but we got one great show left for you here on this Thursday evening. And I'm Nolan Kopolowski, your host. Thank you for joining us on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater, and live streaming on UWW-TV. Appreciate you joining us. We are all... I don't even know what the word is. We got the fashion. We're repping. We're dripped out. Thank you. Exactly the term I was looking for. Dripped out with the Hawk Talk shirts here today. Special thanks to Sam Strash and Drew Best, our couple hosts, for ordering these for the gang. Very nice additions for the last show here. But as always on this Thursday show, I am joined by Elizabeth, Chris, Sierra, Alex, and David. And boy, oh boy, do we have a packed show here today. A lot of great topics to talk about, a lot of fun topics, and even some breaking news that just came across not too long ago, actually. And we'll get to that after our Warhawk Thought. But first, it is finally 70 degrees back outside. It's finally feeling like summer. And for most people, unless you have a class tomorrow, no more classes left in the semester, just finals. So how we all feeling about summertime finally being here and the last show? Elizabeth, starting with you.
I was looking at the weather today, and there's no more, it's looking like it's going to be nice out for the rest of the summer, so that's exciting.
Knocking on wood. All right, Chris.
It's funny, my seasonal depression magically gets cured whenever it goes above 65 degrees, so we're feeling good today.
There we go. It's all you can ask for. Sierra, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for school to be done, but I'm not so ready to go home.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the sentiment around campus for people. Not me. I live off campus, so I'm staying on for the summer. Not to brag. No, but yeah, I mean, it's always as someone who went home for 2 years in the summertime. Like, it's nice going home, but it's like such a change of pace from what you're used to in college. What you've gotten used to for whatever the past 5-6 months, something like that. So. Alex, how we doing?
Oh, doing pretty good. I mean, it's a bit warm out, but it's a good way. I guess I'm getting excited, but it's kind of a bit of a bittersweet feeling this summer. I feel more than really any other. It's just going to be, quite different going from here and then back home after just such a long time. It's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out.
For sure. And finally, last but not least, David, how we doing?
Yeah, doing great. Glad it's warmer out. I really hate snow in the cold, so this is sick.
Amen to that. It's hopefully it's here to stay this time. But yeah, feeling good on this Thursday. Once again, the final show of the semester, and we're gonna make it a good one. And we'll roll right into our Warhawk Thought here, the final one. And for this one, I wanted to ask you guys, realistically, what sport do you believe you could go pro in? And I mean, you think about it, there's, when you think of sports, it always comes to like the big four, the football, basketball, hockey, baseball, that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of like different, smaller sports that still have professional leagues. Like I said, like bowling, pickleball, corn. I mean, there's tons of them. So I just wanted to see like where you guys kind of gauge, your what sport you think you're best in here. And we'll start over here with Elizabeth.
Two of the main sports that I watch or play are basketball and golf, so I could see myself going into one of those.
That's awesome. Yeah, golf is one that I'm really trying to get into. I started getting into it last summer, and I'm I played a lot already this summer. So, as someone, I'm sure you've golfed a lot, and it's like, as someone who is just getting into golf, man, the amount of times I want to just snap my clubs over my knee is just
I saw a quote.
Unbelievable.
It was like, I hate golf. I want to quit this sport. What time are we playing tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, my brother's actually, he golfed in college, and then he's a professional golfer, so he wants to try to get on the PGA Tour.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, I did not know that. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to talk after the show more about that. All right, Chris, how about you? Sport you think that you could realistically go pro in?
So, my dream was always to go pro in track, either that or basketball when I was younger. I feel like if I devoted like a ton of time and energy into running, I maybe could have a shot. But honestly, with how I played last weekend at the Brewers game, I'm probably gonna say cornhole. I was not missing that board at all.
Oh wow! So you just like, is that during the tailgate when
Once
you?
I got locked in and warmed up, I could not miss.
There we go. Hey, that's what it's all about. Get on that hot streak. All right, professional cornhole. Look to see you on ESPN3 someday.
You know it.
Sierra.
ESPN 3.
ESPN Plus, may I add.
There we go. Okay.
For me, I was gonna go with volleyball mainly because I spent most of my life playing it, and I'm sure if I kept it up, I would be pretty damn good at it.
Volleyball, interesting. That's one that kind of, did not cross my mind, but obviously very popular, like high school sport and college too. Alex.
We were talking ESPN3. How about ESPN Ocho? I feel like that's got a great avenue of some interesting sports. I know one of them is competitive air guitaring. I feel like that could be something interesting to do. Having a musical background could definitely lend well into that. Otherwise, I would say cornhole would be another good option, obviously. I know in Physics Fest, I didn't do too well. I couldn't hit the board, but like all the grad parties I went to after, I was like hitting nothing but the hole. Like I was swindling some old people who just had no idea what was going on. It was pretty spectacular.
I'm telling you, like the grad party cornhole, oh my God. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but me too. Like I just become a different animal
I
at
was
grad
elite.
parties. I just could not miss. Over to David here.
All right, so mine's gonna be like the most uninteresting one you've probably ever heard, but like, hear me out. I'd want to be a punter for the NFL. I'd want to be a punter.
You can get those coffin corner kicks down.
No, because like it's great because you won't get paid very much, but it's the least stressful job, and unlike the kick, like a field goal kicker, you never have the spotlight on you. You're never gonna get blamed for anything. Like when's the last time you've like watched an NFL game and you see the punter and you're like, that punter can't play. That punter is bad. Have you ever even
It's a
like,
mess day.
you know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah,
they are
I mean,
the holder
it's
for some kicks now.
Very
So.
few and far between. The only thing I would say about punter is like if somebody is like, if you're the last man standing between somebody in the end zone, are you ready to like deliver the hit to them? Because like some punters, that's how you get on a highlight reel. If you're a punter, you just absolutely level somebody on a punt return.
I'll aim low, try to cause like a lower leg injury or something like that.
Like dirty player, huh?
You know, do what I have to do. I'm not trying to end up like Mac Jones last season, where I just get, or like Zeke in the
Get
final
absolutely
snap of the
stiffed,
playoffs.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's like even if it's like even if it's a bad punt, like let's say my punt gets blocked or something, I feel like the fans are going to be more mad at the offense for having the punt team to have to come out anyway. You know what I mean? It's like if you're watching the Packers, Nolan, and you see it's like, another 3 and out. Oh, and the punt got blocked. Like, oh, it's just the cherry on top. But like, you're not mad at the punter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, very rarely am I would say am I mad at a punter. So that's a good point.
Fun fact, my buddies and I was telling this to my friends a few weeks ago, and we actually looked up at PFF because I was curious to see if PFF keeps punter grades, and they do, which is hilarious to me.
PFF keeps everything. Man.
Yeah, I was like, dude, we should go on like Twitter and be like, PFF has their punter grades all wrong. Like this is the worst list I've ever seen. Like I think the number one guy was like the Raiders punter. I don't even remember what his name was, but I was like, oh, that guy, he's terrible, man. He's a system punter. This is terrible, you know?
New way to gaslight PFF. there.
Yeah.
As for me, football was always my big sport in high school, but like realistically, no, I can't make it to the NFL. So honestly, like I thought maybe ping pong. I'm pretty good at ping pong. Now I know that if you look at the Olympics, there are guys just absolutely going nuts with the paddles. I mean, they're like, 20 feet from the table and still hitting it to each other. But I feel like if I like really dedicated myself, like maybe I could like scratch the surface. Like I'd be like bench player level, but I feel like I could still make some pro paychecks in there. Might see me lose the first matchup every time in the Olympics or whatever. But it's like I feel like realistically that'd be like the sport I feel like I could do the best at, and it doesn't take like to be gigantic or it's all about returning that ball. If you can return it, you have a career in that. So anyways, when I go join ping pong professionally in a couple years, just remember I said that on here. All right, so we are on to our first topic of the day, first real topic, and originally it was going to be about relocating and just kind of a hypothetical question. We're going to knock that topic down one because right before we came on the air, breaking news broke. The Milwaukee Bucks, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference this year, who lost the Miami Heat in 5 games, have indeed let go of Coach Mike Budenholzer, which is gigantic news because there was a very big #FireBud movement after the Bucks lost, and then it was found out that Mike Budenholzer actually lost his brother during that series. So he kind of felt like, okay, maybe his head wasn't all in it at that time, but I don't know. I just want instant reactions because again, this just broke. We don't know a ton of details other than he was let go. Instant thoughts on Mike Budenholzer being fired. We're going to start over with David.
Looks like putting Brooke Lopez on Katie in drop coverage can't get you as far as you think.
Yeah, I mean, it's putting Brooke Lopez in drop coverage on anybody is not usually a good idea.
might get
maybe
routed.
besides for the 2019 playoffs, and even then you could argue that Budenholzer didn't have great rotations there. But every time the Bucks have lost, other than 2019, it's been because of the coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely a lot of errors there. But
there's a different thing each year. It's like in 2020, I get it. Giannis was hurt, but still. And then last year, playing George Hill more than Javon Carter, the whole Brooke Lopez and KD thing, and then this year especially benching Pat Connaughton after he drops 24 points, not playing Jay Crowder after you traded 5 second-round picks for him.
Yeah, right.
It's just the list goes on, man. I don't know who they're going to replace him with, but it's got to be somebody better than how he coaches in the playoffs.
Definitely does not have a great track record. Moving on to Alex, thoughts on Mike Budenholzer being fired? A right move for the Bucks?
I feel like in some extent it's kind of like a Wisconsin coaching with Marquette. You look at, not great in the postseason, but was always able to get to that big dance, but obviously a different level of it. I feel like overall it's the right move. Obviously they need something to change at this point. They needed some sort of a turnaround, something to maybe spark and just kind of create a new chapter, because obviously the Bud chapter went all right. Obviously they got the ring, but to what extent it was truly based on him and what extent it was on the players is kind of up for debate. So then to perhaps have a coach that can really excel and actually boost the players beyond what they are already could really establish them to be even greater next season.
For sure. All right, Sierra, thoughts on Mike Budenholzer being dismissed from the Bucks?
I also think it was the right move to make, just with how well they played this year, and to get out the first round. That's not a good look. And obviously he went through the issue with his brother and all that, and that I'm sure did play effect into them losing. But also, it wasn't just this year. Like David mentioned, this is not the first year where his coaching has been an issue.
Yeah, he's definitely, this was not a one-time thing. Chris, thoughts on Budenholzer and possible replacements in your eyes?
I really think this was it was time. With every coach, I feel like they kind of run their course, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I feel like Matt LaFleur could also be facing the same fate after this season, depending on how Jordan Love does. But I really think the Bucks, they'd always dominate in the regular season, but especially this year too, whenever they played, I know they played the Nuggets and the Celtics and the Warriors, and they gave away leads, or they just got blown out of the water. I could see the fraudulency before we even went to the playoffs. It's just when you get to play the Pacers, the Bulls, and the Cavs.
Hey.
I said what I said.
Hey, 2-2 against you guys this season, okay?
All right.
What seed did you finish again?
What?
I said, what seed did you finish again?
We're part of playoff history, man. We lost to the first team to ever be a play-in team to make it out of the first round, okay?
At the end,
for better or worse, we're going to be in the history books.
Basically, when you get to play a lot of lower-tier teams throughout the year, it makes it a lot easier to pad your record, whereas teams like Boston have to play against, I don't know, maybe a Toronto or a New York or Philly multiple times a year. It really enhances it makes their record worse, and it makes ours better because we got to play Detroit 4 times this year, and Indiana 4 times this year, Charlotte 4 times this year, et cetera, et cetera. etc. So I really feel like just the Bucks were padding their stats off playing against bad teams. Like there were bad losses this year. I know they lost to Houston with everyone playing one time. It's like, come on. And basically, I think that all just kind of came to fruition throughout the series. Bad errors at the end of the game. Like I understand losing your brother can be very, very difficult, but at the same time, once you get in the game, I feel like you kind of forget about all that. So I don't really think that was an excuse for him not calling timeouts. A lot of the adjustments were really simple. Like Brooke Lopez was standing too far in the restricted area when Bam would come down the lane and take those easy 15-footers that he was not missing all series. And he would just simply go to... They'd switch Chris Middleton onto Jimmy Butler, and that was just easy buckets every time. I really think potential replacement would definitely be Nick Nurse, who's probably going to be the front runner right now.
All right, Elizabeth, thoughts on Mike Budenholzer losing his job today?
I feel like when your season, like you're one of the best, like during the regular season, and then you're out in the first round of the playoffs, it definitely like shows that something is wrong and something that might need to be changed.
Yeah, and I think the Bucks realized that, and reading just a little bit more about it, like they were saying that his job was pretty safe coming into the 2023 postseason, but I don't think that anybody really thought, the Bucks had almost any chance of losing, especially in 5 games. Like the fact that it was in 5 games really, I think really might have, spiraled this. Because even if they lose in 7, maybe you give them another chance, especially with, his brother passing away in the middle of that series. But I mean, they lost in 5 games. And again, going back to what all you guys said, there's a track record here. 2019, blow a 2-0 lead to the Raptors in the playoffs.
They had 15-plus point leads in games 5 and 6 in that series.
I mean, they choked this year. I mean, they choked in 2019. In 2020, there was the whole bubble thing and, stuff like that. But, I mean, they should not have lost in the second round. 2022, I know they were dealing with Chris Middleton's injury. But, yet still you were up 3-2. You got to try to manufacture another win, especially when you're going back home in Game 6 in that series. And, in 2021, I felt like it was the Bucks won in spite of Budenholzer almost. Like, if you think about it, how many times because I'm not sure how many of you are Bucks fans in here. I mean, I know a few, but, I'd say, like, the majority of us are Bucks fans in here.
Actually, I think that's not true.
Except
there's at least 2 Bulls fans in here for sure.
No, I mean, but like people realize though, I feel like that the Bucks won in 2021 in spite of Bud, because if you think about it, I can't tell you how many times I was like yelling at my TV, like, what are we doing right now? You choke away Game 5 to the Nets. Like, the fact that we won that series was miraculous. I mean, it took Kyrie Irving getting injured.
Can I just say that if Kevin Durant's toe was about an inch shorter, Bud would have been fired 2 years ago.
Exactly. So, I mean, the 2021 championship, I feel like, just kind of delayed this. Unless he started stringing together runs, he was constantly disappointing. And he hasn't just done this here. He did it in Atlanta, where he used to coach. You look at it, 271 wins to 120 losses in the regular season. Pretty good record. In the playoffs, 39-26. That's not good. And a lot of those wins came from the 2021 season. So, I mean, I don't know. He's just not a postseason coach, and I feel like Milwaukee needs somebody who is going to be more oriented towards the postseason, because you got an all-time generational talent with Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team, and you have a lot of great players. Like, there is no reason with the roster they had built, and I mean, I know Giannis was hurt for a game, but they won that game. There's no reason that the Bucks should have been dished out in 5 in this series. There's really not. They were
not
the deepest.
Not only that, they blew those 2 leads in games 4 and 5 too. They were up by 10 in the fourth quarter in Game 4, and I believe it was 16 in Game 5.
It was something ridiculous. They were the deepest team in the league. But again, there's no reason why you shouldn't be playing Jay Crowder. I feel like guys just did not, and this was a common theme throughout his coaching tenure. It was like guys were just randomly not getting any minutes in the series, and you couldn't explain why. And the timeouts thing was a big issue this year. I mean, that one game when they blew the first game, they blew the lead, which I believe was Game 5. Game 4. No reason you should not be calling a timeout before Jimmy Butler gives them the lead. I mean, he was on fire already, and it's like you just need a timeout at that point, and he wouldn't call him. So
In the last game, the one that went to overtime, where Jimmy had like the last second, there was a half second left in the game, and Bud did not use the timeout that would have advanced the ball to give them maybe the last second catch and shoot. That one had me just absolutely perplexed.
yeah, and he took out Brook Lopez in that one too, and it's like Brook Lopez, he
He's
with
a good
a
three-point
couple
shooter.
seconds left. I'm talking about on defense though, with that Jimmy Butler shot, a couple seconds left. Do you not want the tallest guy you have guarding the rim at that point?
Basically
I know
just-
they took
I feel
Bam
like
out.
they should park him in the paint, honestly.
I mean, pretty much. That's where he's most effective. He is not a great perimeter defender, but he's fantastic in the paint, and he's an offensive weapon in some regards. So I don't know. There was a lot of questionable decisions that I think led up to this. So as a Bucks fan, he led us to a 2021 championship, but I can't say I'm exactly sad to see him go. In fact, I'm a little bit excited because, like you said, Nick Nurse, who I believe is a fantastic coaching prospect, back out on the market, and I would love the Bucks to snag him because I think you give him talent. Nick Nurse is a very good coach. Obviously, he beat us in 2019 and led the Raptors to the championship.
I think the big thing is going to be he needs to fix perimeter defense. I know we have a lot of good perimeter defenders, but Bud's strategy the entire time was to kind of let up three-pointers, especially those first few years that he was in Milwaukee. Like Miami, I know they shot 52% on contested threes in the series, so that is definitely something to note that they were just shooting the lights out.
Never forget the Grant Williams legacy performance.
Yeah, I mean, like random guys like Grant Williams,
Al
being able to-
Horford.
yeah, like just guys that are kind of either not in their prime right now or past their prime, like Al Horford, just randomly coming back to life. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it was, like I said, I think it was a long time coming. I think the 2021 season, the championship, just kind of delayed it a little bit. I think it was time for a fresh start for both teams. And I'm sure Budenholzer will lock down a job somewhere because he is a good coach. He's a great regular season coach. So if you're a team that needs a head coach, I mean, he's going to be one of the top ones out on the market. But as for his tenure with the Bucks, I think it was time for them to part ways. Any closing thoughts here on Mike Budenholzer losing his job, where the Bucks should turn? I know we talked about Nick Nurse. Does anybody else have a different coaching prospect that they think the Bucks should go after?
I'm not going to talk about coaching, but I really think this is kind of the time in the franchise that they really have to kind of retool the roster a little bit, try and get a little younger. A lot of the vets that we picked up in the offseason.
Dame, go after Dame.
Yeah, that's getting younger.
Yeah, for sure.
No, you're telling me you don't give Dame and Giannis on a team and you don't give up that much to get him? I mean,
No,
you're
that's-
going to give up a decent amount, like you give up like a Chris Middleton.
That's true, but like for how much Portland is married to the idea of keeping him, I feel like it would be more trouble than it's worth than to get him, especially
Yeah.
since he hasn't played 60 games in a regular season since 2019.
He has been very
That is
injury
true.
prone. I just think the Bucks have to make some retooling moves. I think Holiday and Giannis should stick around, but other than that, maybe Brook Lopez and Bobby. I think they're both on decent contracts, but pretty much anyone else, in my opinion, could honestly leave. I mean, like I said, they have the oldest roster in the league. I think they only have like one guy under like 27 or something like that. It's kind of the opposite of where the Packers are at right now. They just really have to get younger. They have to draft well for the next few years if they want to keep this going.
Agreed. All right, well, if nobody else has anything, we will move on to what was proposed to be our first topic of the day, Relocation Nation. This one is one that we've been kind of bumping back for a while. Courtesy of Joe Mabey for this idea. So it's just kind of a hypothetical, nothing really news-based necessarily, but a little bit because the Oakland A's are well on their way to head to Las Vegas. I mean, they got a contract now to build land out there. I mean, they are only averaging like a few thousand fans in their stadium right now. I mean, it's kind of protesting for ownership, but the A's are headed to Vegas soon. So it poses the question that I want to ask to all of you, and there will be a couple, different follow-up questions here. But how would you deal with one of your favorite teams moving to a different city? Like, think of your favorite team in your favorite sport right now. If they move to a new city, would you follow them? Would you continue being a fan of that team? would you choose somebody else, maybe closer to the area? Like, I mean, think about like, you know, the Brewers for baseball, like, or the Bucks. The Bucks were thinking about moving a while back before they built a new stadium. If the Bucks had moved, would anybody who was a Bucks fan have followed the Bucks with their fandom, or gone to Chicago, picked a different team entirely? Thoughts on that? We'll start over here with Elizabeth.
I feel like being a Chicago fan, like I definitely would, but I don't think I would do any. Like I don't think I'd root for any Wisconsin team.
So you think you would follow with the fandom? So
Yeah.
like if the Bulls moved,
Unbelievable.
you would be a Bulls fan still.
Yeah.
What if the Bulls moved to Milwaukee?
I don't think they would do that, but
Hey, you never know.
maybe.
This is purely hypothetical.
Purely hypothetical.
Move to
Purely
Green Bay.
hypothetical. Because I mean, there's no obviously no team in Chicago is going to move. The Packers will never move out of Green Bay or anything like that. But like, just thinking of like hypothetical, like this happens. So you would follow them with your fandom.
Because I even like when the Cubs traded some of their players, like Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, I like follow them. So like I feel like
Okay.
I would follow the team.
Gotcha. All right, Chris. How about you? Let's say the Packers move.
Oh,
you
man.
following the Packers to
So-
Portland or whatever they go, or
The thing about the Packers would be it would be so tough because like the teams around here, like the Vikings and the Bears, I could never. Cheer
Oh,
for
yeah,
them.
that's what I'm
like,
s-
especially
yeah.
those two. Honestly,
Detroit.
I could maybe root for Detroit
Yeah.
just because I like them as an underdog story.
but they don't win. So I mean, you'd be going to a loser team.
Hey, they don't win yet, man.
Just you wait.
This next year, man.
How many times have I heard that?
It just gets delayed 6 weeks because of the whole gambling thing. But hey, week six is when it starts.
Here we go.
That's when they turn
Can't
it
wait
on.
to see them lose in the
But,
wild card round.
If I had to pick up a team, I don't know what I would do in football if I had to like
Packers.
root for a different team because like I've tried rooting for like playoff teams. I mean, right now it would be the Jets probably just because they have half our team. Essentially, they're basically
So you-
Green Bay and New York.
You
but-
you are fans of them. Like I'm rooting against the Jets in spite of the Jets because they're stealing all our players, just like I do with the Vikings when they steal all our players.
The Vikings are a different topic for a different day with me, but I'd probably like as of right now I'd root for the Jets, but I don't really know what else I would do. Like I'd probably just be a football fan at that point. Like I root for the Bengals sometimes in the playoffs,
Yes,
especially
sir.
the year they played the Rams in the Super Bowl. I was really rooting for Joe Burrow that year.
Joe Burr.
But yeah, I'd probably just be like a general football fan. I just watch to watch.
Interesting. Okay, so you would essentially not really have a team at that point. You would just kind
I
of
just watch for fun.
like,
I mean,
oh, I like this team, but like I wouldn't say I'm a fan of this team.
it's
like,
fun to be neutral, but at the same time, I always feel like almost compelled to root for someone, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I mean, and again, it's an entirely different scenario if it actually happened. But so you'd be like, okay, well, I like this team, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
go buy a T-shirt for that team or something like that. You know?
Yeah, probably not.
Sierra, how about you? Let's say the Devils move out of New Jersey here. What are you following them? I mean, you got no geographical ties to them,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I'd still follow them. I love all the players on that team. I would be very upset, but I'd still follow them.
interesting. Okay, Alex.
Well, for me,
Chargers.
it's easy because I can speak from experience, fortunately. Obviously, yeah, moving from San Diego to LA, now they're the third favorite team in that city. I know I've been there before, went to like all the different stores and stuff. Only place you could buy like Charger stuff is at the stadium. Otherwise, it's a lot of Raiders and maybe some Rams stuff. So that's great. But yeah, it really just comes down to like, I fell in love with the uniforms, the logo, because I was a kid, blue. So I just kind of figured, roll with that. I mean, I've already committed so much to it, and then just to try and like do something else would be difficult. Now, if it was with the Brewers moving to like say Tennessee or something, which I know has been talks, but like if that were to happen, I don't know what I would really do. I think I would maybe just fall back onto like the Twins or something. I feel like I've got enough ties with that, and that wouldn't be too much of a leap for me.
I'm just going to throw a little hypothetical out here for you two. Let's say the Chargers move again somehow, like
San Diego.
They move again, but let's say they move and they like completely rebrand the team. Like they're not the Chargers anymore. They change the uniforms. Like, would you still be a fan of them at that point?
Childhood is crushed.
I would. I know it would be because of Spanos, which would make me all the more upset. But
Yeah.
if that were to happen, yeah, I'd really have a hard time like holding on to anything because at that point, like it's all gone. Maybe a couple faces and names, but at that point, I would have to just figure out something else. Maybe go the casual route. Maybe go to Duval or something. I don't know. Just find something else
You know,
that's
the
fun.
I would be
Packers are
rooting
always
for
accepting.
Herbie.
The Packers are always
Half
accepting
my family
new
wouldn't like
fans.
that, so
Hey, the
other half would like it.
Jags are sick, man.
Yeah, I like the Jags.
All right, David. over to you. Thoughts on if your favorite team relocated, would you follow them to a new city, or would you pick an entirely new team, or would you not follow the sport at all?
Honestly, it depends on the team. Like, if it was like the White Sox, I want a reason not to like the White Sox anymore just because they've caused me so much mental torture.
Oh, they're doing so good this year, though.
Hey, we are on a 3-game winning streak ever since the bring your dog to the ballpark promotion, which apparently, side note, apparently we're like 9-1 ever since we started doing that in 2015. So I don't know why we're not doing that promotion like once a week. But
Every day is bring your dog to the ballpark day.
yeah.
Dogs are running rampant.
Attendance would go like this.
Yeah, just all dogs in the stadium. That's what it should have been during the COVID year, honestly. But
yeah, honestly, like team like Bulls, like yeah, probably like just because like I feel like it's such like a storied franchise, and you know, I mean, yeah, like, there's been a couple of years before, in the transitional years, been like between like Rose and Butler, and like now where we haven't really been relevant. But I feel like it would be pretty easy to like regain that. And now that especially now that we have a new front office with Arturis, I don't even know how to say his last name. I'm not gonna lie, I've tried so many times. But our new front office after we fired Gar Forman and John Paxson has been a lot better. So, but like with the White Sox, it's just like, honestly, like, I mean, like Alex said, it's like invest so much time and like so much into a team that it's like, you know, you can't really, I don't know. I feel like I couldn't really change it, but it's just like, I don't know. It's really hard being a fan sometimes, just because you see like the lack of like effort, like with like the front office and like Jerry Reinsdorf, and how cheap and just non-committal he is. We're one of only 3 teams to have never given out a $100 million contract, which still is crazy to me. In baseball, when there's, you know, you see like $400 million 11-year contracts getting like signed and stuff like that. So it honestly would just kind of depend on the team.
all right, interesting take there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the easy answer is if like the Bucks or the Brewers or the Packers like left, like I would still be a fan of them. But again, I think like you can't really know what it's like that pain of losing like a hometown team, especially if you haven't gone through it. Because you think about it, like the Supersonics headed to Oklahoma City. You ask anybody who was a fan of the Seattle Supersonics if they were a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to be like, hell no, we are not a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I feel like it was almost like in spite of the ownership that they just didn't like the team anymore. And
It's kind of how a lot of San Diegans are with
yeah, and I'm
The
sure
Chargers now,
with
they
still are.
St. Louis too. I mean, like if you lose your hometown team, you really it's hard to cheer for that team, because it's like, well, they kind of abandon us. Especially, I mean, like it's one thing like if you're in Chicago and it's like, okay, well, we lost one of our baseball teams. Well, I can just go like the Cubs now instead, because we have another Chicago team. Same thing with like LA, all those places that have multiple teams. But if it's like a really like St. Louis, I mean, they don't have another NFL team to cheer for, and then they got the XFL team now, I guess. But besides that, it's like it's soul crushing. I feel like to lose a team like that, and so I really don't know. I feel like I would still try and follow them, but it would be something really tough to swallow. If the Bucks had moved way back then, granted they were terrible back then, and nobody was really a huge fan of the Bucks back then.
I was.
I mean, besides the most loyal diehards, like I followed the Bucks, but it's like, okay, well, we're winning 9 games a year. I mean, we're going to lose, chances are. So, but now I want to ask the follow-up question, which I think makes it a little more interesting. Let's say you have your favorite team moves, and a new team comes and relocates either in your hometown or wherever your favorite team's city was. Do you like that new team that comes in there, that expansion team, or do you continue to root for the team that you followed?
I feel like it would depend, like, what players they get, like, if they did an expansion draft, like Vegas did for hockey. So I feel like it just depends on, like, who the team is and, like, what sport.
So, like, if they don't get any of your favorite players, like, you're not going to be...
Probably not.
Probably not, even though they're in the home city. Interesting. Okay. How about you? Like, let's say Milwaukee gets a football stadium somehow, or a football team after Green Bay leaves. Like, are you a fan of the Packers still, or are you a fan of the new Milwaukee team?
So is this like strictly an expansion thing?
like an expansion team or a team that another team moves or
'Cause
something like that. I don't know.
I think my answer is a little different for both of them, to be honest. Because with relocation, I feel like it kind of depends on who it is. Like say the Vikings relocate there, I could not root for them. I feel like.
Yeah.
But if it's an expansion team and the Packers are gone, I'm definitely rooting for them. It's just they're close to home. I mean, I could finally go to games again. With the Brewers, I know they have all those rumors of relocation. Like, I would just miss going to the ballpark so much, if you know what I mean. And, like, if we got a team, I'd have to root for them.
Right. Sierra.
I think if it was a hometown team and it was a new team coming in, then I would probably root for them. But like if a new team went to Jersey and the Devils weren't there, I don't know if I would root for this new team.
So if the Devils moved and like Milwaukee got an expansion hockey team, like do you think you'd be a fan of both of them, or who do you think would be your favorite out of those two?
I'd probably still take Jersey, but I would also root for the new expansion team.
Gotcha. I mean, that's very valid because, me personally, I'm one of those people who always has like two teams.
I root for like 4 different NHL teams. I just have my top one that is always number one.
The top echelon.
As long as one of them isn't the Bruins.
Of course not. Never.
Speaking of hockey, Drew Best, 1-0, baby. 1-0. Vegas Kraken, it's happening, baby. It's going to happen.
Couldn't write it any better.
Alex.
You know what I mean?
Gotta love the script writers. It's a complicated situation for me. I feel with the Chargers one, if it's the Chargers still exist as what they are and they don't go to San Diego or they go to like Sacramento or something, then like a new San Diego team comes in, I'd probably still be going with the Chargers. If it's a complete rebrand, I mean San Diego, that's kind of fun and stuff. With the Brewers, I mean, you can talk from history. Obviously, it's before our time, but it was with the Braves, and then they went to Atlanta, and then we eventually got the Brewers to come. So I mean, I feel like it would kind of be a matter of maybe just waiting for that next team to roll along if it was for baseball.
All right, and David.
Honestly, it just kind of depends on the players. Like, I mean, we've seen sometimes with expansion drafts, they go terribly wrong. But yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on the players that you get. I mean, I just feel like with rooting for a team, it's usually just because you identify with the team's identity. And I feel like just a new team coming in would kind of like create a whole new identity. So I feel like it would be kind of hard to like kind of just like assume a whole new like team would like obviously like these guys like like these guys have just started playing with each other. None of them have ever played with each other probably unless they were on the same team like in previous years and everything. And you also have to think it's like part of when I'm like talking with my friends and stuff like that, I'll bring up like if if the White Sox beat like the Cubs, then I'll give my roommate who's a Cubs fan the business for it. But it's like remember when we swept you 3 years ago? It's like, well, 3 years ago we weren't a franchise, so it's like it kind of makes it more challenging to go back in the archives when you want to like bully someone.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, I think that if it was like the Brewers or the Bucks or something like that, because I'm a fan of these hometown teams, like if they moved, I would probably like them still. I'd probably root for them, but I definitely a lot less. And then if a new team came, I feel like I would almost for sure start rooting for that team. Like no matter who was on the team, like unless we signed like Henry Ruggs or something like that, like I'm not, I'm cheering for the team. So, I mean, I feel like it's almost just because a lot of my fandomship is based on geographical location besides NHL, obviously, because we don't have a hockey team. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like just the fact that, like you said, Chris, like you'd be able to go to the games again. Like, there's nothing better, I think, than like going to a game of like the team you root most for because it's just such a different atmosphere. You get so much more into it than, going to like random games are fun, but, I'm not standing up and like every time something happens because I don't really care about either of the teams that much. So, all right, very interesting relocation debate there. Let's hope that none of us have to experience that again, Alex.
In a few years.
Again, where are you seeing that the Brewers are going to relocate? I know they just denied the stadium, stadium
that's kind
stuff.
of the issue.
But
I think if I had to pick a spot, it would probably be either Nashville or Charlotte are the places that they're looking at. I know Vegas was tossed around until the A's announced they were officially moving there pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the governor, Tony Evers, I guess, is proposing state surplus funds to make upgrades to the stadium and stuff like that.
My question is what truly needs to be upgraded there? Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's
I was
still, I
there
think it's
a
still a
week
good
ago.
stadium.
I think it's
yeah.
decent. I
Need a
don't
new
see the
slide
problem
for
with
Bernie.
it.
Maybe just the infrastructure and stuff like that. Yeah, I
209
heard that they're getting like a loop-de-loop slide for Bernie or something like that. One at like
Get a water slide.
at Noah's Ark,
They
yeah,
gotta
like
ask.
Scorpion's Tail or something like
They
that.
gotta add extra padding so that no one breaks their whatever it was on the slide.
Oh my gosh, that was
There we
great.
go. Anyways, moving on now to grid challenges. So if anybody's seen these TikTok videos, very interesting. I enjoy watching these. It's basically a 3x3 grid. And usually there's 3 teams on the top and 3 teams on the side. And you have to match the two, like let's say it was the Bruins and, the Kings. So you'd have to match a player who has played on both the Kings and the Bruins, and you have to fill up the whole grid. So we'll be going one by one. You have 10 seconds. If you can't think of anybody, once your 10 seconds is up, we'll just move on to the next person. You can shout somebody out. I'll fact check it on the go here. But basically, whoever gets the most squares wins. And so I have 4 different ones here. We're going to start with just the NFL one. So if anybody else is looking at the other ones, turn them down for now, just so you don't get a head start. And I'd also like everybody to just close their laptops or whatever devices they got, as to make sure we aren't Googling real quick, But yeah, so we'll start with the NFL one here. And we'll just see what the heck happens. So I'm going to get my stopwatch out. And we will get started with the 10-second timer. So for the NFL one, on the top we have the Packers, the Rams, and the Texans. And on the side we have the Vikings, the Titans, and then passing yards leader. So that means they led the league in passing yards that season while they were playing for that team. Could be some difficult ones, could be some easy ones on here. I tried to make it like a little bit of both on all of them. So, starting with Elizabeth, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, your time starts now, 10 seconds, whichever square you want. Think of any players that played for either of those teams. Time is up. Okay, so we will.
So can I do like 1 or 2 or just 1?
You can only do one at a time. Whoop. So, moving on to Chris. 10 seconds.
I'll go Rams, Titans, Robert Woods.
All right, there we go. Robert Woods, so that's Chris's square. You can also not reuse a player. And you cannot reuse a square.
I feel like if it was NBA, Ish Smith or Jeff Green would be so clutch in this challenge.
There is an NBA one that we may get to. So anyways, Robert Woods is gone. Nobody can use Robert Woods anymore. And also nobody can use the LA Rams Titan square. That is taken by Chris. So Chris has 1. We're going to go on to Sierra. And your time starts now.
Packers, Vikings, Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, there we go. Felt like that was, like I said earlier in the show, the Vikings have stolen so many players from the Packers.
If I was in that square, I would have said Chandon Sullivan because why
Nice.
I mean, Zadarius Smith.
Dean
I'm
Lowry
sure
now?
soon to be like Mason Crosby or
Dean
Adrian
Lowry.
Amos. Aaron Rodgers in a couple
not? They
years.
took the little brother to a whole nother level.
Yeah, for real. All right.
Hand-me-downs.
Packers Vikings square is gone. Moving on to Alex.
I will guess Rams passing leader. I'm going to go Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner was a passing yards leader for the St. Louis Rams
That was
at
a
the time.
heck of a guess.
Worth a shot.
The greatest team on turf.
Greatest man alive.
Kurt Warner, the last person before Patrick Mahomes won it or was handed it, to the last MVP to win a Super Bowl. All right. So we have 3 squares taken: LA Rams passing yards leader, LA Rams Titans, and Packers Vikings. We're now going to move on to David. By the way, I'm not going because I came up with all these. It would be unfair. So moving on to David. 10 seconds.
I'm going to go with Packers. Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, 1 second.
Got a guess? 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10.
Got to get a guess here.
I think time's
3.
up, guys.
Yeah.
2,
No,
yeah.
I did. I
got
got
Moving
it
on.
in my head.
Elizabeth, back to 10 seconds. What do you got?
I don't know.
Wager a guess for any of these.
No, I don't.
No guesses. All right. Passing on to Chris.
I believe Case Keenum, Rams, Vikings.
Rams, Vikings. I believe you're right. Let me make sure, but I'm almost positive that Case Keenum was on the Rams at one point in his career. Let's look at his statistics. He was back in 2015, 2016. All right, so Case Keenum is off the board, and Chris is currently in the lead with 2 squares to his name. 5 squares left, still plenty of time to make up ground here, and it might get a little tough. The Texans squares are looking quite blank right now.
I have one ready for that, but
Sierra, on to you.
I could be wrong, but I think it's Craig Hendrick. Was he both for Packers and Titans?
Craig Hendricks, you said?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Look that up.
Craig? No,
I've
I
never
could be
heard of
wrong.
this guy.
I could be completely
That's
wrong.
probably why he played for the Packers and Titans.
That's respect right there if you can get it.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Could be
I
right.
looking up Craig Hendricks.
Or Hedrick.
Yeah.
Hedrick?
I don't know. Yeah.
Try.
Something
options.
along-
Oh, is it Craig Hentrich?
Yes.
That's him?
There
Okay.
you go.
We'll count that.
I can't English if you didn't know.
I missed Shohei last.
All right. He was
episode.
on the Titans. Let me see. He was unsigned to the Green Bay Packers. What a guess. Craig
Damn.
Hentrich.
That is
That's
wow.
a heck of a one.
That one-
That was,
one was impressive.
not one I expected to hear today. But nonetheless,
It's the first time I've ever heard that name.
Sierra.
I guess I'm unloyal as a Packers fan.
2 for 2 on the Packers squares so far. Moving on to Alex.
I'll try and take out that last square. I'll say Rodgers for passing yards.
I don't believe
Aaron Rodgers never led the league in
Really?
passing yards while at any year in his career.
I can confirm my friends and
Yeah,
I did
Packers
this
records
challenge
don't.
last night where we were trying to name every single passing yards leader from 2010 on.
Yeah,
Sounds
very
like fun.
very surprising. But Aaron Rodgers never led the league in passing. So on to David.
This is gonna be a shot in the dark, but Deshaun Watson passing yards.
Deshaun
Dang
Watson
it.
did lead
took
the
mine.
league in passing yards.
That's my second guess.
Another. No bonus points here, but anybody want to wager a guess to who the other Texans quarterback was that led the league in passing
Matt
yards?
Schwab.
Matt Schwab. Matt Schwab. Matt Schwab
Close
did
enough.
lead. Yeah.
Couple
2009.
loose muscled quarterbacks.
Yikes, bro. Okay, anyways.
That one really loosened me up.
Score right now, Sierra 2, Chris 2, Alex and David both at 1. Over to Elizabeth. Anything come to you so far yet?
No.
Want to wager a guess?
I'll pass on this one.
You're going to pass again. All right.
Can I
Over
ask
to
a
Chris.
question really quick? So for passing yards leader, could I say Brett Favre again or not?
Yes, you can. Yes. Just because
I'm gonna go Brett
it's...
Favre then.
I thought you said we couldn't repeat guys.
That is true.
That's why
Okay,
I
then we
asked.
can't. Yeah, no, never mind. Let me make sure that there was another Packers quarterback that led the league in passing yards.
I don't even know if Brett Favre did. That was
He
a
did.
whim.
He did, and that's
There's
why I
only
had
one
it.
other that could have.
Sorry.
Man, I should have just eliminated Chandon Sullivan.
I didn't think about that. That was
Multi-step.
Because I have one more guess. If
I'll say
need
I
be,
have a
but-
guess too, so I'll get it out first and get credit for it.
We're putting the game on hold real quick here, and we're going to do Green Bay. Yes, there is other ones. There is other ones. So,
That one was taken.
to be fair to Chris,
That one was
we're going to give you another opportunity.
I'll see if Don Majikowski ever did it.
You did. He did. That was the next name I saw.
The Magic Man.
That was not my guess.
All right, Chris, you are up to 3 here. Let's see if Sierra can keep pace with you. Sierra, you got 2 Texan squares left for the Vikings and the Titans, and 10 seconds starts now.
I got nothing.
All right. Yeah, these ones are going to be the tough ones for sure, I know. On to Alex.
Latavius Murray, maybe.
Latavius Murray for which teams?
Oh wait, never mind. Those are on the same column thing.
Still got a couple seconds.
I still got a couple seconds. I don't freaking know. Man.
That is time. David.
The Deshaun one and the Zadarius Smith one were the only two I had.
All right. Would anybody like to wager a guess, or are we going to blank these two squares
I
here?
vote we move on to the NBA one.
I think we should blank these personally.
All right. If nobody
What
has
were the
any
answers?
guesses,
I was gonna guess Warren Moon for Texans Titans, but I know that's wrong for a fact.
yeah, Warren Moon never played for. To be honest, I didn't have any players in mind for these ones. That's what made it tough because,
Wait, so what if like there was none that actually existed?
I mean, there has to be ones that people
You
that
never
played for
know.
both.
Never know.
So, anyways, yeah, we'll move on to the NBA one while I look this up here
Easy to say.
and make sure that
Oh man, we only got like.
make sure that this was a fair contest.
Didn't have enough for this one.
We'll move on to the NBA one. I'm almost positive I have every single one for the NBA here.
I got a good few of these already.
Yeah, I'm sad we don't have much time for this one.
Yeah, we'll move on to the
David
NBA.
might take the W in this one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. We'll start at the opposite end this time with David, and your time starts now.
Oh man, I want to start it out with if I guess wrong, can I get another guess, or is that not how it works?
No.
All right, well then I'll go with the safe one. Bulls Spurs DeMar DeRozan.
Thanks.
Bull Spurs, DeMar
I
DeRozan.
got you. I'll save the one that I think would be really funny for when no one else has a guess.
DeMar DeRozan did play for both of those teams, obviously.
Let's go. I got
So, DeMar DeRozan, David has got 1 point. On to Alex.
We'll go Rookie of the Year, and we'll say I'll take a shot at Jordan. That's always a good.
Michael Jordan did win Rookie of the Year.
Pick sooner next time. What can I say?
All right.
ready.
Unfortunately, there's no stealing of the
Can we
picks
do
here.
this like snake draft style? I want to go like right after again because I'm afraid mine's gonna get stolen.
Oh, what?
No. I think we're just gonna keep the way it's been going.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot change the rules here. Sierra, your guess is here.
Got nothing. You can just give it to David.
Yeah,
all right.
give back to David.
Give it back to David.
Chris, I'm so sorry.
I'm not the only one who does it.
So it is snake draft.
I'm not the only one
give
who
it to
does it.
David.
All right.
Just let David
Is
fill
she
this one
phoning a
out.
friend? Because I gotta.
No, this is not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, unfortunately.
Sorry, Chris.
On to Chris.
I'll go Spurs Pelicans Devontae Graham.
Oh, wait. No, he never played on the Spurs.
He's on there right now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he-
I was not
Graham.
aware that he was off the Pelicans.
Taking the 10-man roster quiz comes in clutch. You have no
Oh,
idea.
God. Dude, I didn't even know. I thought he was still on the Hornets.
He does currently play on the Spurs.
Wow. GG.
And I gotta get.
You just gave me another one.
I just gotta fact check it just to make sure. Not that I don't believe you.
No, that's right.
Spurs.
Yeah.
You said Spurs
He was
Pelicans.
on the Pelicans at the start of the year. I know because I played with him in
Yeah,
2K.
he was. Okay. So Devontae Graham off the list. Nice one, Chris. All right. So, one apiece for the gentleman. On to Elizabeth. Wager any guess on the NBA one here?
Okay, this is complete guess. Zach LaVine for the Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. I don't think it's right.
Zach LaVine's still on the Chicago Bulls, I
Bulls,
believe.
Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So,
He got traded in the Jimmy Butler deal.
yeah. So Zach LaVine, good guess though.
I
So,
was like, well, both players
yeah.
are still there.
All right. Moving back on to David.
This has already been taken, but I also know Josh Richardson was on the Spurs and now he's on the Pelicans, but that's just a brag. My other one is the Kings and the Hawks, Alex Len.
Alex Len.
I had a different one. It was going to be Kevin Herter.
Yep.
Oh, that's the more obvious one. I took the hard approach.
Alex Len did play for both of those teams, I believe. He plays for
Yeah, why
Sacramento
didn't I think of that before I
currently,
thought of Kevin Herter?
and he has played for the Hawks. Yes. All right. David on the board with 2. Over to Alex.
I don't know. Rookie of the Year, Pelicans, Zion.
No, Ja.
I know.
Zion Williamson did not get Rookie
Sorry.
of the Year.
Yeah.
On to Sierra.
At least I gave an answer.
Nothing. All right.
No, you're lucky you got the 2 out of me for football.
On to Chris.
Greg.
We'll
Okay,
go
maybe I'm-
Kings Rookie of the Year, Tyreek Evans.
Tyreek Evans did win
Ooh.
Rookie of the Year.
It's good.
This is right up David and Chris's alley.
Once
here.
once the NHL and MLB ones are gonna come, though, the wheels are gonna fall off.
Don't believe
You know
we're going
what
to
I
have
mean?
time for either of those, unfortunately. But
Do it at home.
Yeah, do it at home. I didn't make an NHL one just because I don't know NHL players well enough. I'm man enough to admit that I do not know NHL players well enough to make a grid here. It would have been complete shots in the dark, just putting random teams on. Anyways, over to Elizabeth.
Complete guess, Alex Caruso for the Bulls and the Hawks.
I don't believe Caruso played for the Hawks.
I don't
Let me
think so.
double
I
check
think it's only
here.
been the Lakers
I
and
don't
the
think
Bulls.
so either.
It's been the Lakers and the Bulls, if I'm not mistaken.
Obviously plays for the Chicago Bulls now. Yeah, he's only played for the Lakers and the Bulls. So, another good guess. Over to David.
Rookie of the year, Derrick Rose.
Unfortunately,
Oh, wait.
Rookie of the Year has already been taken
Wait, for the Bulls?
for the Bulls.
We already did Michael
Jordan.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that.
All
Wow.
right,
What can I say?
moving on to Alex.
Yeah, I've got really nothing else to say though, so
Could not take advantage of the opportunity.
better luck next time.
And Sierra, anything sprung to mind?
I don't know basketball
Okay.
players.
On to Chris.
We'll go with one of the greatest shooters of all time, Bulls Hawks,
I just
Kyle
wait.
Korver.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. Why didn't I think of that?
Kyle Korver.
I was worried you were gonna take that one because my knowledge is starting to run low as well.
No, I would have. I forgot about the. I forgot we did Jordan. That's.
Elizabeth.
No, it's
I
okay.
got nothing.
Nothing?
No.
All right. Anybody else have a guess?
Pelicans Rookie of the Year, Anthony Davis.
Oh, just begin.
Simmer down.
I mean, that's what I was about to say.
Don't believe Anthony Davis won Rookie of the Year.
Then that's not what he was gonna say. He was gonna give a different answer.
That was what I was gonna say. I hope it's right.
Let me make sure. I think they only had one when I checked it. Yeah, they only have one. Anthony Davis did not win Rookie of the
man.
Year. Over
I
to
was
David. Any guesses?
Definitely, that's not what I was gonna say. I don't know why
Exactly.
you would like
Yeah.
jump in like that.
I'm telling
He
you.
said anyone, so I answered.
Zach Collins, Kings Spurs. I know he was on the Spurs.
That
but
is a great guess.
I know he's on the Spurs. I can't remember if he was on a team between the Blazers and the Spurs or not.
He is currently on the Spurs.
Yep, but I
he
don't.
was not on any team between the Blazers and the Spurs.
I would give you that though. That was a great guess.
All right, we are running out of time, so I'm going to call this one. Chris wins the NBA one with 3, David with 2, Alex
Who
with
was
1.
the Rookie of the Year? Was it Chris Paul?
Chris Paul with the Pelicans. That is, it was while he was with the Hornets, but it is the same franchise.
That was
so
gonna be my
Chris
next
Paul
guess.
is the Rookie of the Year for the Pelicans. And we will move on to final thoughts now because we only have 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left of Hawk Talk for this year, believe it or not. Elizabeth, final thoughts for us in this last show of the year. I know, don't try to cry. It's okay.
It was a good semester, and it'll be interesting to see what the playoffs finish out for the NBA and NHL.
2 big playoffs. We were going to talk about them. Unfortunately, Mike Budenholzer getting fired. Bucks could not have waited like another hour. On to Chris.
It was a fun semester. We definitely lived on the edge on this show, if you know what I mean.
But
It was fun. Thank you guys for a good semester. Hope everyone's back again next semester.
yes, sir. Sierra.
Yeah, similar. I had a great time this semester being part of the sports committee, and then obviously we got 2 games tonight: Carson's Kraken, and then the Panthers and the Maple Leafs.
Big time, big time. And I'll be cheering for the Devils as well. And
Going
Golden
Knights.
Knights, baby.
Go
There-
Bruins! Oh.
Knights and
wait,
6.
Wait.
Not yet. No.
Alex.
Yeah, it's really been an honor to be a part of it. Obviously, the show winning an award, myself winning an award because I'm the greatest, and then she also won an award for getting better.
I
so
might have to
it's-
switch the best on air then because of the. I might have to write in a candidate.
it is what it is. Obviously, just really appreciative to have been a part of it all.
All right, on to David.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun doing this again. Chris and I obviously have developed a pretty
Heated rivalry, I'd say.
yeah. I was gonna go with we bounce off of each other's very respectable jokes very well. But yeah, no, it's a great environment. I love coming out here talking sports every week with other people who share the same sensibilities. And yeah, hope to be back next semester.
the best frenemies on Hawk Talk that I've seen in quite a while.
And the list. Make sure to tune
Yeah,
into the
tune
list.
into the list,
WWTV.
Every Wednesday at 3:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, it has been an honor hosting for this entire year. It was a great experience. I've seen Hawk Talk from both angles, and it's been fun. Anyway you're on the show. So thank you all for watching for this entire year. For those who just watched the semester, we appreciate you. We will see you back on Hawk Talk once again in September. Have a great summer, everybody. Continue to watch the playoffs. I'm Nolan Kapodlowski for everybody here on the Thursday crew. Thanks for watching on 91 or on UWW TV and for listening on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater.